Hello, everybody. We're going to start our radio work for this week. Um, this week, we're going to work on section 1B in the instruction manual. So I'm on page 17 here. Remember that you can't start this if you didn't pass the tests from the first section. Otherwise, we'll never be able to diagnose what's wrong if we don't pass those tests. So please don't move on to this unless you pass those tests, and I have to okay that before you do, of course. Um, so just some things to note here. Once again, we're just soldering in regular stuff. The only thing that's out of the ordinary is that we have an integrated circuit or IC. If you see here on the diagram, it shows that the socket has to be soldered in first. Make sure you line up all the correct alignment stuff here. If you notice, there's a little notch in the IC here in the side and a notch in the IC itself. Make sure you solder in the socket first. So you're going to put it in the socket, solder it in, and then put the IC in there. The reason for the socket is so that you don't overheat the IC. Okay, that's really about it. I'm going to go through and solder this all up quick underneath the document camera for you, and then you can get it done. So we'll start here with C20, it says. So I've got C20 right here, and we'll put C20 in right over here where it shows that it goes in. C20's done. Check through that. And then we're going to go to C18, which is a 10 microfarad capacitor. By the way, C20 was a disc capacitor. There is no positive and negative on those disc capacitors. So please note that when you put it in. So we're on to C18, which is right over here. Once again, make sure you have your positive and negative in the right spots. And then we're on to C16, which is located, looks like right next to C18. If you notice, I have that little red wire on there coming off the potentiometer. The reason for that is because I tore up a little bit of the foil from this capacitor right here, and so I had to put a jumper wire in there to take the place of the foil. So that's the reason for that, if any of you were wondering that. And if that happens to you, just let me know and we'll figure out a way to fix it. It isn't the end of the world, but we do have to take care of it in order to pass the tests. So C16 is done. Now we're on to R20. Okay, R20 is done. Now we're on to test point 9. -0.9 is complete. Now we're on to C17, 10 microfarad capacitor. Once again, make sure you have your positive and negative in the right spot. C17 out of the way, now we're ready for our integrated circuit. This is the part that gives people the most trouble. First we have the socket pin. So looking closely at the socket pin, you're going to want to find where the alignment mark is. Now I look on right here where my fingernail is, there's a little tiny groove. So on this diagram right here, if you look where that notch is right, or where that little square is right there, that's where a little tiny groove goes. So I'm going to take my little socket, put it in here, and you know, I have used in the past, I've used tape to hold these in. So if you've got a little piece of masking tape, that might make your life a little bit easier. I just bent the tabs over a little bit. One thing you really got to watch for here when you solder this is that we don't have solder bridges on these tabs. This one right here, it's okay to have a solder bridge. On this one, if you look, the pieces of foil are connected. So on this one, it's okay, we can have a solder bridge right here. But the rest of these we cannot. So please keep that in mind. That one, it's okay to have a solder bridge. Now we got to be a little bit more surgical about our way of doing this. And I got a little bit of bridging going on here onto the next one. I'm just going to clean off my iron and then pull the solder away. Some of it will stick to the iron. If you've got the big tip on some of these soldering irons have a bigger tip than others, just use the corner of it. You just have to be a little bit more patient and wait for it to heat everything up, but it will get there. And there we go, got our IC done. Okay, and then we're ready to clip our IC in there. Once again, we want to make sure that we have that notch that's in the IC right there. I'm getting a little bit too close. Clip into our socket the correct way. Remember now, take your time. We don't want to break stuff by rushing and pushing really hard to get stuff in, because all you do is break something and you just made more work for yourself. Okay, looks like my power or lights went out again, so I'm going to stop here and I'll catch you on the next one.